Coach, as we sit here in your office at Pelion High School, it is official this morning, I guess late last night, that your replacement as you retire as the athletic director and head football coach, it is in place. So
Right.
It kind of is really real now.
Sure.
And tell me how it feels sitting here this morning knowing that it really is kind of you're playing out the string here.
Right. Well, I knew this was coming, and I knew when I decided I was going to retire that this day was coming, and I have mixed feelings. I mean, honestly, it's a good feeling, but it's to know that I've been sitting here for 25 years, that someone else is going to be doing it in a couple of months. It's sometimes hard to swallow that, but at the same time I knew I was ready for this to happen too, so I'm excited about it and still glad I made the decision I did.
What can you tell us about, I know Dan Holland, who's coming in, has won 2 state titles in a row at HKT, and obviously his football resume is pretty strong. I had the chance to talk to him yesterday a little bit on the phone, and he just seemed like a terrific guy, but can you just tell us what you might know about him?
I don't know him that well. I mean, I've talked to him a couple of times, met him a couple of times. He was actually at Barnwell when we played them several years ago, and had got to meet him then. And he seems like he will be a good fit for Pelion. He's got a good personality. He's a strong personality, but he's a people person, and I think that will fit in well in this community. And he's obviously a very good football coach and knows his stuff. And I think it was a good pick.
Just one other thing I want to mention about that before we get back to you is that the word, excuse me, the word was kind of out that, boy, this, obviously this is a good job, but gosh, it was close to 100 people, I think, that were like legitimate applicants. That right?
They had a lot of applicants, and it is a good job. I mean, it's a good community. It's a good school. It's the whole athletic department, I think, is in good shape, and it's a good school district to work for. So I mean, it had a lot of attraction, for people, and there were people from a lot of other states that applied for it, and some college coaches applied for it, not head coaches, but assistant coaches. So it's it got the attention it deserved, I think.
Obviously, Coach was he was thrilled yesterday. Of course, it was pending the board approval, but it looked really good, and he was very excited about it. And I said, well, don't just be excited about it's a great job. I said, you have something to be really proud of is, man, you beat out some very, very, very strong candidates.
True.
So, but that speaks well not only for him, but as you said, the high school here,
right,
to have that kind of interest, which it did. Okay, let's talk about Ben Freeman now a little bit. Let's go back. You play at Wake Forest out of Marion, North Carolina, and you find yourself back in kind of your neck of the woods, coaching up in Brevard. And something that I think is interesting is your first head coaching job as a younger man was not as head football coach. It was at Brevard High School as basketball coach, right?
Right, and kind of got thrown in my lap, which ended up being great. I was 23 years old, and they said, here, you be the head basketball coach. We don't have anybody to do it right now, and it worked out good. I did it for 2 years and enjoyed it, but that was as much basketball as I wanted to do. I wanted to be a football coach, so it changed from there.
And then, of course, you won the state title both of those years, right?
No. We won a football state championship over there, but we didn't win a basketball.
So you start coaching basketball, and you wind up your first head coaching job at Denmark Oler, and then you moved to Fairfield Central. That was the first year that it was no longer Winsboro High School and McCrory Liston, is that right? And you took over that program, and 4 years there. And just briefly, as we look back, how was that experience?
It was very good. I mean, when I first went there, when the school had first consolidated, we were 3A in a very, very tough region there. I mean, Clinton was back-to-back state champions during that time, and we were in that region with them, and Newberry was in that region, and Fort Mill and Clover and Broome. I mean, it was a kind of a who's who football conference. And then we moved to 4A the last 2 years I was there, and we were in the region with Spring Valley and Northeast and Sumter and those people too. So it was very tough football wise. But we, the last 2 years we were there, we were in the playoffs in 4A and did pretty well. So I had a good experience at Fairfield.
And then this job becomes open, and boom, 1990, and here we are in 2015, and
Right.
still here. Talk about getting this job and how it's turned out that it's been Ben Freeman is Pelion. I mean, Pelion is Ben Freeman. When you talk about football, and just talk a little bit about how that has turned out to be. Let me start with this. When you got the job, did you have a innate feeling that this might be a destination job, or at that point it was just a good job to get?
Well, I think my wife and I were looking, we both were looking for a place where we could go make our home. And, the whole time I was working at Fairfield, we were living in Columbia, so it was not like Winsboro was ever our home. So when we decided to come to Pelion, we moved out here, and our kids all went to school here, all graduated from here, and it became a destination, and we've enjoyed being here. And so it's really worked out great. I mean, I don't know that I knew in 1990 I would stay here for 25 years, but I remember telling the superintendent that hired me, Chester Floyd, that I hoped I'd made out my last resume when I took this job, which, was not all completely the way it ended up being, but I'm glad I've been here for that long.
It's kind of storybook in the sense that you go out, your last high school game as an official head coach was the ultimate in South Carolina football as the head coach of the Shrine Bowl team, and you get the victory. Is that just a coincidence, or did getting that honor to coach them, which is kind of a career honor in a certain sense, and the fact that, it was, as you had told me, you had been thinking you would consider, like a lot of coaches do at the end of every year, do I still have what it takes for me to mentally be engaged in it? Did that play a role in a positive way, but with you saying, you know what, this is just the right time?
It did. And, when I found out, well, over the last 3 years, I knew I could retire when I wanted to. And I was not holding on for the Shrine Bowl because I'd always thought I was going to get out when I was ready. Mm-hmm. But to know that I was going to be the head Shrine Bowl coach, and then to be able to win the game, it gave me how much better a scenario could you pick for yourself than to say, okay, my last game was a win and it was in the Shrine Bowl. So it was kind of the apex of my career to be able to do that. So I was really fortunate to be able to do that, and I think it was just the right time to do that.
I have a question. You were first the North-South game assistant coach way back in '93.
Right.
It's amazing that, gosh, what's that been, 22 years?
Yeah.
That's kind of scary. And then in 2014, you're the head Shrine Bowl coach, but you were around the best, some of the best of South Carolina in '93, and then, of course, you also were the North-South head coach in '06 and the Shrine Bowl assistant in '01. But I want to go '93 to 2014. Both years you're around some of the best the state has to offer. Can you quantify the difference in overall talent? Is it changed a heck of a lot, or no, from that time to what you saw in 2014?
I don't think that talent has changed a tremendous amount. I think the game has changed a lot. I mean, the game has become a space game now, and it was starting to do that a little bit in '93, but it was not. It was still there were a lot of people still running the wishbone. There were a lot of people just a grinded out type of attitude. That is where I think has changed the most. We had a ton of good athletes on that team in '93. So I think you do see maybe a lot more big athletes that are more athletic, being big guys than you did back then. But overall, the talent level was high then too.
It was high then too. Now I want to talk about, obviously, the best player that you ever coached. The only player that you ever coached that makes a living in the NFL
Right.
just happens to be a kid by the name of Ben Freeman.
Right.
And in all seriousness, being a father myself, I just can't even imagine how genuinely unbelievable it must be to be a person that not only loves sports and loves their child, but has made football your life.
Mm-hmm.
And you have coached him, and now he has achieved the Holy Grail,
Sure.
playing in the NFL. Talk about, as being a dad, how awesome it is.
Well, I mean, there's no way to describe seeing him out there on a Sunday in the NFL. I mean, it's just, you know, I remember the first time I saw it, I had to pinch myself. I couldn't believe that my son was out there doing that. Of course, you know, I felt a lot of the same way when he was playing at Clemson, you know, and seeing him on national TV and, you know, earning All-American honors there, and just, you know, is this really happening? It just seemed like it's, you know, surreal. And but, you know, when you go back and you look at what he's done and how dedicated he was even as a young athlete, and to set his mind on that as his goal, and for him to be able to achieve it is just incredible.
Was Dalton, as a kid, was he saying, Dad, you know, in seventh grade, was he already saying, I'm going to play in the NFL?
Well, he didn't. It wasn't that early, but I think when he started getting some attention from colleges, that he thought, well, maybe, you know, I think he always doubted that he was going to be good enough, and he still doubts himself, I think, you know, to this day. But I think that's just because he's humble. And
Sure.
And but he's, I think when he got his first college offer, he thought, well, you know, if I can do that, why can't I go on to the next level? And even though it's a very small percentage that ever do make it to that level, he was able to do it.
Now, I'm guessing, with you retiring, that as much as you still made as much an effort as you could feasibly make being a football coach yourself to see him play, I'm guessing that you're going to see him in person a little bit more.
I'm going to do my best. I mean, it's a little harder with the NFL because you got to travel so much, but we'll definitely see him more than I've been able to these last 3 years.
He might have to, what did you tell me? You might be camping out on his porch a little
That's right.
up in New York.
Yeah.
As far as, I want to mention one other kid, because we interviewed him quite a few times in the fall, and you were just telling me off camera that Freddie Phillips, who went up to NC State as an early graduate and just went through spring practice, you said Freddie's doing tremendously, correct?
Everything from the spring, and you know, he was an early enrollee, and he's had a great spring and a great semester. He's doing really well academically, and which I'm as proud of as anything he's doing football-wise. But he's earning him, it looks like, a lot of playing time for the fall and won't redshirt. So, you know, I'm really proud of that and what he's doing.
All right, Coach, have you given, I'm sure you've given some thought to it, but now that it's becoming really real, what the heck are you going to be doing? Maybe not during the summer, because it'll be the same thing probably,
Sure.
but other than going to see Dalton play, what you going to do with all this time you're going to have?
Well, I'm going to try to get my golf game a little bit better, and you know, I've got 5 grandkids that I want to spend more time with, and you know, my in-laws and my mom are both, you know, getting older. I want to spend a little more time with them, and you know, just do what I want to do. So it'll be fun.
If there's one thing, if there's one way to succinctly describe what a great ride it's been for you, you know, how would you sum it up in words?
Well, I think, and this is something I don't think I've even told you yet, that I was I got let known that I'm being inducted into the Coaches Association Hall of Fame in July. So that to me is kind of a culmination of my career, that I'm being honored by my peers as being worthy of that group of men that are, and women that are in that Hall of Fame. So to me, that is kind of the icing on the cake, and you know, what a great way to end it.
Well, let me tell you, congratulations. That's terrific to hear. I can guarantee you I will be there.
Appreciate that very much.
Ben, congratulations on just a terrific tenure And what makes it great, regardless of all your wins and all that, is everyone I've ever talked to has said that the best thing about Ben Freeman is the guy. That you're the better person than he is a coach and all of that. So, job well done, my friend.
Thank you very much, Rich.
And I look forward to playing some golf with you.
Absolutely.
All righty.
Thanks.
Ben Freeman.
I couldn't remember what I told you.